There were some nights when the snow did not fall. It came down. It struck the ground like ash thrown from a dead sky, covering the old cemetery, the crooked stones, and the narrow path leading up the mountain in a thick white silence. Elara stood alone beside her mother's grave. The wind pulled at her dark cloak, pushing loose strands of brown hair across her face. She did not bother to move them. She had learned, over the years, that grief did not care about comfort. Neither did winter. Her mother had been dead for 7 years. 7 winters. And every year, Elara returned to the same grave on the night her mother had died. Not because she expected an answer. Not because she believed the dead could hear her. She came because there were some people who had been loved so deeply that leaving them alone forever felt like a second death. Elara brushed snow from the top of the stone. "I'm here," she whispered. The wind answered. Nothing else did. Her mother's name was carved beneath the snow. Myra Vale. There was no grand title beside it. No noble family name. No royal crest. Just a name. A woman who had raised Elara alone in a small house at the edge of the village. A woman who had taught her how to gather herbs, how to stitch wounds, how to survive cold nights with little food. A woman who had always become strangely quiet whenever anyone mentioned the North. Elara had never understood why. Until that night. She turned to leave. Then she saw the wolf. At first, she thought it was a mound of snow. It lay on the far side of the grave, curled against the stone as if the frozen earth were warm. Then it breathed. Elara stopped. The animal was enormous. Much larger than any wolf she had ever seen. Its fur was white, but beneath the moonlight it carried the faint color of silver. Snow had gathered across its back, yet the creature did not move. One side of its body was marked by a long, old scar. Another wound, newer and darker, stained the fur beneath its ribs. Elara's hand slowly moved toward the knife hidden beneath her cloak. The wolf opened its eyes. Gold. Not yellow. Gold. For several seconds, neither of them moved. Elara should have run. Every story she had ever heard told her that wolves with eyes like that were not wolves at all. They were monsters. Rogues. Cursed beasts. But the creature did not growl. It only watched her. And Elara noticed something strange. He looked tired. Not hungry. Not angry. Tired. She slowly lowered her hand from the knife. "Are you hurt?" The wolf's ears shifted. Elara almost laughed at herself. Of course he could not answer. She took one careful step forward. The wolf did not move. Another. Still nothing. The wind grew stronger. Then, far below the cemetery, something crashed. The sound of breaking wood echoed through the valley. The wolf's head turned sharply. Elara looked toward the road. A dark shape had overturned in the snow. A wagon. Horses screamed. Men shouted. And then a child ran out of the darkness. He could not have been more than 8 or 9. His clothes were torn. One side of his face was bruised. He stumbled through the snow with his hands tied in front of him. Behind him came a man carrying a whip. "Get back here." The boy fell. The man reached him before he could stand. Elara felt something inside her tighten. The trader grabbed the boy by the collar and dragged him backward. "You think you can run from me?" The child cried out. The wolf stood. The movement was so quiet that Elara barely noticed it. One moment, the creature had been lying beside the grave. The next, it was standing between the grave and the road. The trader saw him. He froze. The wolf said nothing. He simply looked at the man. The trader's face went pale. "You," he whispered. The boy stopped crying. Elara stared at the wolf. The trader pulled the child closer. "Stay away from me." The wolf took one step. The trader raised his whip. That was when Elara moved. She stepped between them. "Don't." The trader stared at her. "Move." "No." His expression changed. "You don't know what that thing is." "I know what you are doing to the child." The trader laughed once. "You think a village girl is going to stop me?" He raised the whip. Elara's heart slammed against her ribs. Then the wolf moved. Not toward the trader. Toward the whip. He placed himself between them. The trader's hand stopped in the air. The wolf did not bare his teeth. He did not attack. He only stared. And somehow, that was worse. The trader took one step backward. Then another. "You're cursed," he whispered. The wolf's golden eyes did not leave him. The trader grabbed the child and began pulling him away. Elara turned to the boy. "Come here." The child hesitated. Then he ran. Elara caught him and pulled him behind her. The trader looked at the wolf one last time. "Your kind should have died in the north." The wolf's expression changed. Only slightly. But Elara saw it. A flash of something ancient. Pain. The trader saw it too. He turned and ran toward the overturned wagon. The wolf did not follow. He remained beside Elara. The boy was trembling. "What's your name?" she asked. The child swallowed. "Finn." "Finn, are you hurt?" He shook his head. Then, after a moment, he whispered, "He'll come back." Elara looked toward the road. "He won't take you." She did not know if that was true. But she said it anyway. The wolf looked at her. The warmth came suddenly. A strange pressure in her chest. Not fear. Not exactly. Something deeper. Something that felt like recognition. Elara turned toward him. For one breath, the storm seemed to disappear. The wolf's eyes held hers. And then he walked away. He moved through the snow without a sound. Elara watched until the white shape disappeared into the white world. Finn looked up at her. "Was he yours?" "No." "Then why did he save us?" Elara did not answer. She turned back toward her mother's grave. Something glittered in the snow. A small silver pendant. She bent down and picked it up. The moment it touched her palm, the strange warmth returned. On the front was a symbol she had seen only once before. In an old history book. A crown surrounded by a ring of northern stars. The crest of the lost Alpha King. The king who had vanished 7 years ago. The king whose entire territory had been declared dead. Elara closed her fingers around the pendant. Behind her, somewhere beyond the trees, a wolf howled. And for the first time in 7 years, Elara wondered whether her mother had been buried with the truth. By sunrise, the storm had weakened. The world looked almost peaceful. That was the cruel thing about snow. It could cover blood. It could cover footprints. It could make a night of violence look untouched by morning. Elara returned to the village with Finn walking beside her. He had not spoken much. He held tightly to the edge of her cloak. Every few steps, he looked over his shoulder. Elara did the same. She saw no white wolf. But she felt watched. The village sat between 2 mountain ridges, surrounded by dark pines and old stone walls. Normally, smoke rose from every chimney by dawn. That morning, people stood outside their homes, watching. When Elara entered the main square with a strange child beside her, the watching became whispering. The village council was waiting. 3 old men stood beneath the covered wooden hall. Their faces were hard. The eldest, Master Roven, looked at Finn. "Who is that?" "A child who was being transported by a slave trader." The square went quiet. Elara placed a hand lightly on Finn's shoulder. Roven's eyes narrowed. And the wolf? There it was. Not concern for the child. The wolf. Elara said nothing. A woman near the well crossed herself. Someone whispered, "The northern beast." Roven stepped closer. "What did you see?" "A wolf." "Don't play games with us." Elara's jaw tightened. "I saw a wounded animal." "An animal with golden eyes." She did not answer. "An animal large enough to stand against a man." Still nothing. Roven leaned closer. "Did it speak?" "No." "Did it attack?" "No." The old man seemed almost disappointed. "Then why are you alive?" Elara looked at him. "Because perhaps not everything you fear is trying to kill you." The square went silent. Roven's expression hardened. Finn shifted closer to her. Elara felt the pendant beneath her dress. She had hidden it before entering the village. She had not told anyone about it. Not yet. Roven ordered Finn taken to the shelter. The boy immediately grabbed Elara's hand. No. Elara looked down. Finn's fingers were cold. It's only for a little while. You said he wouldn't take me. I know. Then don't give me to anyone. The words struck her harder than they should have. Elara looked at the shelter. Then at the council. He stays with me. Rovan frowned. That is not your decision. It is if no one else is willing to make it. The old man opened his mouth. Before he could speak, horns sounded from the road. Every head turned. 3 royal riders entered the village. Their horses were covered in snow. The rider in front carried the seal of the Central Kingdom. He dismounted and approached the council. The Royal Council has issued a warning. Rovan took the scroll. The rider looked around the square. Reports have been received of a large white wolf crossing the northern border. Elara felt the pendant grow warm against her skin. The rider continued. Any sighting must be reported immediately. Why? Someone asked. The rider's expression became grim. Because the creature may be connected to the Northern Massacre. A whisper moved through the square. The Northern Massacre. Everyone knew the story. 7 years ago, the Northern Territory had been attacked. The royal family had vanished. The Alpha King, Kael Draven, had disappeared. His body had never been found. The official story said he had gone mad. That he had killed his own people. That he had fled before the kingdom fell. But the story had never felt complete. Elara had once asked her mother about it. Myra had been washing herbs. The question had made her hands stop. Did the Northern King really kill his own people? Her mother had looked at her for a long time. Then she had said, some truths survive because someone is willing to carry them. Elara had been too young to understand. Now she did not know what to think. The royal rider rolled the scroll closed. If the wolf is seen, report it. He turned to leave. Elara looked toward the edge of the village. A dark figure stood between the trees. White eyes. No. Gold. She blinked. The figure was gone. Finn noticed. You saw him. Elara looked down. What? The wolf. She said nothing. Finn lowered his voice. The man who owned the cart called him the dead king's shadow. Elara's heart stopped for half a second. What did you say? He said the wolf should have died with the king. Elara touched the pendant beneath her clothes. Finn looked at her. Do you know who the dead king is? Yes. She looked toward the mountains. Maybe. The wind moved through the trees. And somewhere beyond the village, something watched her. Not the council. Not the royal riders. The white wolf. Finn disappeared before sunrise. Elara knew before anyone told her. She woke with a strange pressure in her chest. The room was cold. The small bed beside the wall was empty. The blanket had been pushed aside. The window stood open. Elara was outside before she had fully put on her boots. The village shelter was only a short distance away. The door was unlocked. Inside, the other children were sleeping. Finn was gone. The caretaker insisted he had run away. He was trouble, the woman said. Always asking questions. Elara stared at her. His boots are still here. The woman looked away. That was enough. Elara went outside. Snow covered the ground. Most of the footprints had been destroyed by the wind. But near the back of the shelter, she found something. A small piece of blue cloth. Finn's coat. Elara closed her hand around it. Then she saw the trail. Not clear. Not easy. But there. A line of disturbed snow leading toward the forest. She followed. The trees swallowed the village quickly. Within minutes, there was no sound except the wind. Elara walked faster. Finn's footprints appeared in the snow. Then disappeared. A broken branch. A boot mark. A smear of blood. Elara stopped. The forest became silent. Too silent. She slowly turned. The white wolf stood between the trees. He was watching her. Elara's heart beat hard. You know where he is. The wolf did not move. She took a step toward him. Finn. The wolf turned. Then began walking. Elara stared at his back. Wait. He did not. She followed. The farther they went, the older the forest became. The trees grew larger. The snow deeper. Eventually, the remains of an old stone tower appeared between the branches. Elara knew the place. Everyone in the village did. The old northern watchtower. It had been abandoned after the massacre. She moved closer. Voices came from inside. Men. One of them laughed. Elara looked at the wolf. He had disappeared. For one terrifying moment, she was alone. Then she heard Finn cry out. Elara entered the tower. The boy was inside a wooden cage. Two men stood beside him. One held a knife. The other turned. "Well," he said. "The girl from the cemetery." Elara's hand moved toward her own knife. "Let him go." The man laughed. "You came all this way for a little slave?" Finn's face was pale. "I'm not a slave." The man struck the cage. "Not yet." Elara's blood went cold. "You take one more step toward him and what?" The man moved toward her. Elara raised her knife. He smiled. Then the roof above them exploded. The white wolf dropped through the broken opening. He landed between Elara and the men. The tower went silent. The first man stumbled backward. "No." The wolf turned his head. The man raised his weapon. He never got to use it. The wolf moved. A blur of white. The weapon flew across the room. The man hit the stone wall. The second trader ran. The wolf caught him before he reached the door. He dragged the man down. The trader screamed, "Please." The wolf stopped. His teeth were close to the man's throat. Elara could see the rage in his body. The trembling. The force he was holding back. "Enough." The wolf looked at her. Elara held his gaze. "Enough." Slowly, the wolf released the man. The trader crawled away. Elara stared. He had listened. Not because he was weak. Because he had chosen to. Finn was staring too. The first man rose and grabbed a broken blade. He rushed forward. The wolf turned. The blade struck beneath his shoulder. The sound that came from him was low and terrible. Elara screamed. The wolf threw the man across the room. Then he turned back toward Finn. The boy was still trapped. Elara ran to the cage. "Finn, are you hurt?" He shook his head. "Get back." The wolf stepped toward the cage. The iron lock snapped beneath his jaws. Finn crawled out. The wolf stood between the boy and the two men. Elara noticed blood running down his side. "Come on." The wolf looked at her. She pointed toward the door. "You're hurt." He did not move. "Please." For the first time, something changed in his expression. Not obedience. Trust. He followed. They made it to the upper chamber of the tower. Elara found old blankets and a small box of herbs. Finn watched as she knelt beside the wolf. He was still enormous. Still frightening. But now she could see the pain in his eyes. Elara dipped cloth into melted snow. "I'm going to clean this." The wolf did not move. She touched the wound. His muscles tightened. "I know." She continued. The wound was deep. The blade had gone beneath the shoulder. Elara worked carefully. Finn stood several steps away. "Will he die?" Elara looked at the wolf. "I don't know." The wolf's eyes remained on her. She pressed the cloth against the wound. The warmth returned. Stronger this time. It moved from her hand through her chest. The wolf slowly lowered his head. His eyes closed. Elara froze. He was allowing her to touch him. Not because he was too weak to stop her. Because he had decided not to. Outside, the storm began again. And in the ruined tower, Elara realized something that frightened her more than the wolf ever had. He was not merely protecting them. He was choosing them. The storm lasted through the night. By morning, the tower was buried beneath snow. The two slave traders had fled. Elara had found no sign of them. She was not sure whether to be relieved. The white wolf had grown worse. His breathing was shallow. His fur was damp with sweat. Elara changed the cloth on his wound again. Finn sat near the fire, watching. "He looks like he hurts." He does. Can he understand us? Elara looked at the wolf. I think so. The wolf opened one golden eye. Finn immediately went quiet. Elara almost smiled. See? The boy whispered, he does. The day passed slowly. The wolf did not eat. He barely moved. By evening, Elara had begun to fear that the wound was infected. She reached for the silver pendant beneath her dress. She had kept it hidden since the night at the grave. Now, without knowing why, she placed it on the stone beside the wolf. The reaction was immediate. The pendant began to glow. Not brightly. Just enough. A pale silver light spread across its surface. The wolf's eyes opened. Elara stood. What are you? The wolf lifted his head. The light from the pendant grew stronger. His body began to tremble. Finn backed away. Elara. Stay behind me. The wolf's breathing became rough. White light spread across his fur. Elara stepped back. The room filled with a strange pressure. Then the wolf changed. His body twisted. The light grew brighter. Elara raised an arm to shield her eyes. When the light faded, a man lay on the stone floor. For several seconds, no one moved. He was tall. Even injured, he looked powerful. His hair was pale silver. His skin was marked with old scars. One ran from his collarbone to his ribs. Another crossed his shoulder. He wore torn black clothing, and one hand moved immediately toward a weapon that was no longer there. Elara stepped backward. The man opened his eyes. Gold. She knew those eyes. She had seen them in old royal paintings. She had seen them in history books. The Lost King. Kael Draven. The man who had disappeared 7 years ago. He looked at Elara. Then at Finn. Then at the pendant. His voice was rough. Where did you get that? Elara's hand moved toward her knife. Who are you? Kael tried to stand. He failed. Elara caught his shoulder. His body went rigid. Don't. You're bleeding. I said don't. Then stop trying to stand. For a moment, his eyes narrowed. Elara expected anger. Instead, something almost like surprise crossed his face. She helped him sit against the wall. Finn stared. You're the wolf. Kael looked at him. Yes. The answer was so simple that Finn blinked. Elara looked at the man. You're Kael Draven. His face became still. You know my name. Everyone knows your name. No. The word was quiet. Everyone knows a story. Elara said nothing. Kael looked toward the snow-covered window. Stories are usually what remains after the truth is killed. The words stayed between them. Elara picked up the pendant. It was beside my mother's grave. Kael's eyes changed. Your mother? Myra Vale. He went completely still. Elara noticed. You knew her. Kael did not answer immediately. Then he looked back at her. She was in the north. Elara's throat tightened. My mother was a healer. She was more than that. What does that mean? Kael's jaw tightened. It means you should not be asking questions you are not ready to hear the answers to. Elara stared at him. My mother is dead. I have spent 7 years being told she was exactly who I knew her to be. If you know something else, then I am already ready. Kael looked at her for a long time. Then he looked away. My kingdom was betrayed. Elara waited. By who? I don't know. You were the king. I know. There was something in his voice. Not pride. Pain. Kael continued. My council opened the gates. Elara's breathing slowed. The massacre was not an attack from outside. The fire cracked. Finn looked between them. Kael's hands tightened against his knees. Someone inside the northern court sold information. Routes. Defenses. Names. And your family. He looked at the floor. My sister disappeared. Elara lowered her voice. You thought she died. I saw the palace burn. That was all he said. But it was enough. Elara understood then that Kael was not a man who had forgotten how to speak. He was a man who had learned that words could not bring anyone back. She looked at the documents beside him. One had fallen from his coat. Elara bent to pick it up. Her eyes stopped. There, at the bottom of the page. A name. Myra Vale. Her mother's name. Elara looked up. Kael was watching her. What was she doing in the north? His expression closed again. I don't know. You just said she was more than a healer. I said she was there. You remember her? Kael looked away. I remember her face. Elara felt the world shift. Her mother had known him. The lost king. The white wolf. The man who had been sleeping beside her grave. Outside, the storm grew louder. And for the first time, Elara understood that the wolf had not found her mother's grave by accident. They left the watchtower 2 days later. Kael could walk. Barely. Elara did not trust him to travel alone. Kael did not trust anyone enough to let them help. So their journey became a quiet battle. He would walk until his wound opened. Elara would notice. He would say he was fine. She would stop. He would stare at her. She would stare back. Then he would sit. Finn found this amusing. You're not very good at telling her no. Kael looked at him. Finn immediately became interested in the snow. The abandoned mountain library stood 3 hours north of the watchtower. It had once belonged to the Northern royal family. Now the roof was partly broken, the windows were covered in ice, and the shelves leaned beneath years of dust. Kael entered the building and stopped. Elara noticed. What is it? He looked at the books. Nothing. But it was not nothing. She could see that. Kael walked deeper inside. His fingers touched the spine of an old book. For the first time since Elara had met him, his face softened. Only slightly. But it was there. This place had been his. Or close to it. They made camp in a large reading room. Finn slept near the fire. Elara cleaned Kael's wound. He watched her in silence. You can say thank you. I can. But you won't. No. Elara looked at him. Kael's mouth almost moved. Almost. She shook her head. You are very difficult. I've been told. By many people. Most of them only once. She looked at him. He looked back. Then she realized he had made a joke. It was a terrible joke. But it was still a joke. Elara looked away so he would not see her smile. That night, Kael read. Elara woke sometime after midnight. The fire was low. Kael sat alone beneath a broken window. A book was open in front of him. She moved closer. What are you reading? Law. At this hour. Law doesn't become less important at night. She looked at the page. Treaties. Territory borders. Royal succession. Names of dead kings. You're trying to find something. Kael closed the book. What makes you say that? You don't read for pleasure. How do you know? Because I have seen you read. He looked at her. Elara sat across from him. What are you looking for? Kael's gaze lowered to the book. The moment I missed. What moment? The one where my kingdom stopped being mine. Elara did not know what to say. So she said nothing. Kael looked at her. The silence between them was not uncomfortable. It was simply there. The next morning, Elara repaired the tear in Kael's sleeve. He noticed. You didn't need to do that. I know. Why did you? She tied the thread. Because it was torn. Kael looked at her. That is not an answer. It is the one you're getting. Finn appeared in the doorway. Kael. Kael turned. Finn held a wooden stick. Can you teach me to fight? No. Finn's face fell. Kael looked at him for a moment. Then he stood. Not with a blade. He took the stick. Hold it. Finn did. Too tight. Finn loosened his grip. Too loose. Finn frowned. Kael adjusted his hands. Strength is not hurting someone. Finn looked confused. Then what is it? Kael's eyes moved toward Elara. knowing when you could. Elara saw the pain behind the words. Finn did not. The child nodded seriously. For the next hour, Kael taught him how to stand. Not how to attack. How to remain standing. That evening, Finn fell asleep beside the fire. Elara and Kael sat across from one another. The library was quiet. Snow moved beyond the broken windows. Elara felt warm. Too warm. She looked at Kael. He was watching her. What? Nothing. You keep looking at me. So do you. Elara opened her mouth. Then closed it. Kael looked away first. The strange warmth returned to her chest. She did not know what it was. Neither did he. But that night, when Elara left the room to gather water, Kael's wolf woke beneath his skin. He did not understand why. He only knew that the moment she disappeared from sight, something inside him became restless. And when she returned, the restlessness stopped. Elara returned to the village alone. She did not tell Kael where she was going. He noticed. Of course he noticed. You are leaving. It was not a question. Elara pulled her cloak around herself. I need to go somewhere. Where? My mother's grave. Kael went still. Elara watched him. You don't have to come. I didn't say I was. You were thinking it. I was not. You were. Kael stared at her. Elara almost smiled. Then his expression became serious. Don't go alone. I've been alone most of my life. That doesn't mean you should be. The words stayed with her. She left anyway. The journey to the cemetery took most of the day. By the time Elara reached the grave, the sun was low. The snow had melted around the stone. She took out the silver pendant. It was warm. Not hot. Just warm enough to guide her. Elara knelt. She placed the pendant against the grave marker. Nothing happened. She waited. Then she remembered something her mother had once said. A phrase. A strange phrase. The dead keep what the living are too afraid to carry. Elara looked at the stone. She ran her fingers along the base. There. A small crack. She pushed. The stone moved. Beneath it was a narrow compartment. Inside lay a sealed letter. Elara stared at it. Her mother's handwriting covered the front. For Elara. Her hands began to shake. She broke the seal. The letter was old. The ink had faded. But the words were clear. Her mother had served in the Northern royal household. Not as a simple healer. As a witness. She had seen prisoners taken from the Northern Territory. She had seen names removed from records. She had seen royal officials receive payments from slave traders. And she had learned that the massacre had been planned. Not to conquer the North. To erase it. To destroy the royal bloodline. To make sure no one could return. Elara read the letter twice. Then a third time. At the bottom, her mother's handwriting became unsteady. If Kael survived, he must never return alone. Elara's breath caught. The next line was worse. Mara may still be alive. Elara sat back. Mara. Kael's sister. The girl he had believed dead. The letter explained that Myra had seen Mara taken from the palace during the attack. She had followed the transport route as far as she could. Then she had been forced to flee. She had spent years searching. She had failed. But she had never stopped believing Mara might have survived. Elara folded the letter. Then she heard footsteps. She turned. No one. Only the wind. But on the snow beside the cemetery stood fresh footprints. Boots. Several people. Elara grabbed the documents. She ran. By the time she reached the library, darkness had fallen. Kael was waiting near the door. He looked at her face. What happened? Elara held out the letter. He took it. His eyes moved across the page. At first, nothing changed. Then his hands tightened. The paper trembled. Elara had never seen him shake. Kael. He did not answer. He read the same line again. Mara may still be alive. His breathing became uneven. Elara took one step toward him. He stepped back. Not because he did not want her near him, Because he was trying not to fall apart. She could be dead, he said. Yes. She could have died years ago. Yes. She could be alive. Elara said nothing. Kael looked at her. His face had gone pale. I buried her. You never found her body. I buried her in my mind. His voice cracked on the last word. Elara's heart hurt. She wanted to touch him. But she waited. Finally, Kael lowered himself onto a wooden chair. He stared at the letter. Elara sat beside him. For several minutes, neither spoke. Then Kael's hand moved. Slowly. He placed it on the table. Elara placed hers beside it. Their fingers touched. Kael did not pull away. The moment was small. But for a man who had spent 7 years keeping the world away, it was enormous. Then Elara noticed something. The letter was not the only thing beneath the grave. There had been another page. A list of names. Slave routes. Payments. Council seals. And one name appeared again and again. Lord Vaya. The current head of the Royal Council. Elara looked at Kael. Someone had known. Someone still knew. And now that someone knew, Elara had found the truth. They came before dawn. Kael woke first. Elara knew because the room changed. The silence became different. He stood near the window. Outside, soldiers surrounded the library. Finn was still asleep. Elara rose. How many? Too many. She moved toward the door. Kael caught her wrist. Stay behind me. Elara looked at his hand. Then at him. Don't. His fingers loosened. You don't know what they came for. I know exactly what they came for. A voice called from outside. Kael Draven. The name echoed through the ruined library. Finn woke. Elara moved toward him. Kael stepped between them and the door. The soldiers entered. Their leader carried a royal order. He read it aloud. By decree of the Central Council, Kael Draven is declared a rogue and enemy of the crown. He is to surrender for immediate judgment. Kael said nothing. The soldier continued. He is accused of murdering the Northern royal household, abandoning his territory, and resisting lawful authority. Elara looked at Kael. His face was empty. Too empty. He had heard these words before. Maybe for years. The soldier's eyes moved toward Elara. And the woman is to be detained for assisting a known murderer. Elara stepped forward. Your order is based on a lie. The soldier laughed. You have proof. Yes. That changed the air. Kael looked at her. The soldier's expression hardened. Where is it? Elara did not answer. The soldier raised his hand. 2 men moved toward Finn. Kael's eyes changed. Gold. The wolf rose beneath his skin. The soldiers stopped. Kael's voice became very quiet. Do not touch the child. The leader smiled. There he is. Kael's jaw tightened. You came here for me. We came for the beast. You have found him. The soldiers moved. Elara stepped between Kael and the nearest blade. Kael looked down at her. Move. No. His voice lowered. Elara. No. The wolf inside him pushed harder. His eyes brightened. The soldiers raised weapons. Kael's breathing changed. Elara turned slightly toward him. Look at me. He did. Not them. His gaze locked onto hers. For 1 second, the wolf receded. Then the soldier leader spoke. The council has something else to offer. Kael did not look away from Elara. What? Your sister. Everything stopped. Kael's expression broke. The leader smiled. Mara Draven may be alive. Kael took 1 step forward. The soldier lifted a hand. Come with us, and you will learn where she is being held. Elara knew immediately. It was a trap. Kael knew it too. But hope was more dangerous than any weapon. His entire body had gone still. Elara touched his hand. Don't. Kael looked at her. The soldier said, You have 1 hour. Then the soldiers withdrew. The doors closed. Finn whispered, Is she really alive? Kael did not answer. Elara looked at him. He was staring at the door. The king had disappeared. The wounded man remained. And for the first time, Elara saw how easily someone could control him. Not with chains. With hope. Finn disappeared that night. This time, there was no doubt. The library door had been forced open. A wooden toy lay broken in the snow. The one Kael had made for him. Kael picked it up. He did not speak. Elara had seen him angry. This was different. His silence had become dangerous. They took him, she said. Kael's fingers closed around the broken toy. Yes. We find him. I go alone. No. Elara. No. He turned toward her. You do not understand what will happen if I lose control. Then don't lose control. His eyes flashed. You think it is that simple? No. Then why are you coming? She stepped closer. Because you keep telling me not to stand between you and danger. Kael said nothing. Elara looked directly into his eyes. Then stop making me choose between you and the people you love. For a long moment, he stared at her. Then he looked away. Stay behind me. That is not the same as saying no. It is the closest you are getting. They followed the trail to an old border station. The place had once guarded the northern roads. Now it belonged to the slave traders. Cages stood in the yard. People were inside them. Children. Women. Men. Finn was in the smallest cage. When he saw Elara, he ran toward the bars. Elara. She moved forward. A trader grabbed him. Kael appeared behind the man. The trader froze. Kael's voice was quiet. Let him go. The trader laughed nervously. You are supposed to be in chains. Kael took one step. The trader pulled a knife to Finn's throat. Elara's heart stopped. Kael became completely still. Put the knife down. Or what? Kael's eyes turned gold. The trader's hand began to shake. You're a monster. No. Kael's voice was almost a whisper. You are simply used to believing that anyone stronger than you will act like you. The trader swallowed. Kael moved. Fast. The knife fell. Finn was in Kael's arms before the trader understood what had happened. The boy clung to him. Kael held him tightly. Then he looked at the cages. One by one, he broke the locks. The prisoners emerged slowly. Some cried. Some did not believe they were free. Elara ran to the records room. The shelves were filled with ledgers. Names. Payments. Routes. She opened one. Then another. Her hands went cold. Mara. The name appeared beneath a false identity. Transported north. Transferred to a private holding site. No death record. Elara grabbed the page. Kael. He turned. She held out the record. He read it. His face changed. Hope and pain collided inside him. She was alive. She may still be. A shout came from the yard. The slave trader had returned. He held a blade. He attacked Kael. The fight was brief. Kael disarmed him and forced him to the ground. The trader stared up at him. Kill me. Kael's eyes were gold. Finn was watching. Kael saw him. The trader smiled bitterly. Go on. Kael raised the weapon. Finn looked away. Kael lowered it. Leave. The trader blinked. What? Leave. You think mercy makes you king? Kael stepped closer. No. He looked toward the cages. Choosing what I become does. The trader ran. Kael turned toward the station. He broke the final chains. Then Elara found the slave cart. The same kind that had carried Finn. The same kind that had carried countless others. Kael stood beside it. Elara looked at him. What are you going to do? He struck a torch. The cart caught fire. Then the records. Flames climbed into the night. The people stood watching. Chains broke. Wood burned. Names were finally released from the darkness. Finn stood beside Kael. The child looked up at him. You could have killed him. Yes. Why didn't you? Kael watched the fire. Because I want you to learn that strength is more than what your anger can do. Finn nodded. The fire reflected in Kael's golden eyes. For the first time, Finn did not see a beast. He saw a king. They did not make it far. Kael was injured before they reached the mountain road. Elara heard the blade strike. Kael did not make a sound. He simply stopped. She turned. Blood spread beneath his coat. Kael. Keep moving. No. Keep moving. He took another step. Then fell. Elara caught him before he hit the snow. The blade had gone beneath his ribs. The metal was dark. Poison. She knew immediately. They reached an old mountain sanctuary by nightfall. Kael collapsed near the fire. Finn stood in the doorway, terrified. Elara worked through the night. The poison made Kael's body shift. His hands became claws. His eyes turned gold. Then he returned to human form. His breathing became rough. Elara. She pressed cloth against his wound. Stay with me. Leave. No. Leave. You're very repetitive. His eyes opened. I'm serious. So am I. The wolf rose again. Kael's body twisted. Elara stepped back only when he lunged toward the wall. He stopped himself. His claws dug into the stone. His breathing shook. Get out. Elara did not move. Kael turned toward her. I will hurt you. You haven't. Not yet. The wolf inside him was close to the surface. His eyes were almost completely gold. Elara's hands trembled. She did not hide it. Kael saw. You're afraid. Yes. His face tightened. Then leave. Elara changed the cloth on his wound. I am more afraid of leaving someone alone because they are hurting. Kael stared at her. The wolf receded. He collapsed back against the wall. For 3 nights, Elara stayed. Kael slept. Woke. Drank water. Slept again. Finn gathered wood. Elara changed bandages. No one spoke much. On the 4th night, Kael woke before dawn. Elara was asleep beside the fire. He watched her. She had not slept properly in days. Her hair had fallen across her face. Kael reached out. Stopped. Then gently moved the strand away. Elara opened her eyes. You're awake. Yes. Good. She sat up. Kael looked toward the fire. I killed the wrong people. Elara said nothing. He continued. The night the north fell, I was ordered to escape. By who? My mother. He swallowed. She told me to take Mara and run. But you lost her. Yes. His voice became quieter. I heard her screaming. Elara looked at him. I ran. You survived. I ran. The words were full of self-hatred. Elara moved closer. You were a boy. I was king. You were still a boy. Kael looked at her. No one has ever said that to me. Someone should have. The silence returned. Then Kael said, everyone who stays near me dies. Elara looked at him. That's not true. My family. Your people were murdered. Because of me. No. You don't know that. I know what guilt sounds like. Kael went still. Elara looked into the fire. My mother died because she stayed in a village where people needed her. Kael looked at her. She could have left. Yes. But she didn't. No. Then why do you blame yourself? Elara's eyes lowered. Because I was angry with her when she died. Kael said nothing. I had told her not to go out during the storm. She went anyway. I told her I hated her. The fire cracked. She died before I could say anything else. Kael's expression changed. Elara smiled sadly. So I know what it is like to carry a sentence for years. Kael looked at her. What did you want to say? Elara breathed in. I wanted to say I was sorry. Kael's voice was soft. You can still say it. She looked at the fire. I'm sorry, Mama. Kael did not touch her. He simply remained beside her. That was enough. The next morning, the wolf appeared beside him. Not fully. Just his eyes. Kael looked at Elara. She did not move away. "I told you," he said. "You should be afraid." "I am." The wolf stared. Elara reached out. Her hand rested against his face. "But I am not afraid of you." The wolf closed his eyes. And for the first time, Kael believed her. Kael returned to the capital 3 weeks later. He did not arrive with an army. He arrived with survivors. Elara walked beside him. Finn stayed close. Behind them came the people rescued from the border station. The capital had been prepared for a different kind of king. A dead one. A monster. A criminal. Instead, Kael walked through the gates. The people saw him. Some dropped to their knees. Some ran. Some simply stared. Kael did not look at them. His eyes were fixed on the royal hall. The council was waiting. Lord Vaya stood at the center. He was an older man with silver hair and a calm face. Too calm. When Kael entered, Vaya smiled. "Your Majesty." Kael stopped. The title echoed through the hall. Elara saw something move in his face. A memory. A wound. Then it disappeared. Vaya turned toward her. "And this must be the girl who has confused you." Elara stepped forward. "I have the records." Vaya smiled. "Records can be forged." "My mother's letter." "Also forged." The council members murmured. Finn stepped forward. The room quieted. He pointed toward a man standing near the back. "That is him." The slave trader. The one from the cemetery. The one from the station. The man who had taken him. The trader's face went white. Vaya turned. "You know this man." Finn nodded. "He sold children." The trader shouted. "He is lying." Other prisoners stepped forward. One voice. Then another. Then another. The hall changed. The truth did not arrive like thunder. It arrived like rain. Slowly. Impossible to stop once it began. Elara placed her mother's letter on the council table. The old royal seal was still intact. Vaya looked at it. For the first time, his face changed. Kael saw. Elara saw. Everyone saw. Vaya reached for the letter. Kael's hand closed around his wrist. The hall went silent. Kael's voice was calm. "Do not touch what you helped bury." Vaya looked at him. "You have no authority here." Kael released him. "Then why are you afraid?" No one moved. Elara opened the ledger. Payments. Names. Roots. Council seals. Vaya's name. Again. And again. The council began shouting. Kael did not. He stood beside Elara. The people listened. Then Kael spoke. "You want me to kill them?" No one answered. He looked toward the council. "I know what you expect." Vaya laughed. "You have no right to judge me." Kael looked at him. "I agree." Vaya blinked. Kael continued. "I will not judge you." The room went still. "You will be judged by the laws you used against my people." That was the moment the hall changed. Kael had returned with enough power to destroy everyone who had betrayed him. Instead, he chose law. Justice. Not revenge. Then a messenger ran into the hall. He carried a small piece of folded cloth. "My lord." Kael turned. The messenger approached. This was found inside an old northern codebook. Kael opened it. 3 words had been written in faded ink. "I am alive." Kael stopped breathing. Elara watched the paper tremble in his hand. "Mara," he whispered. The council leader saw the weakness. Vaya moved. The doors opened. By the time anyone realized what was happening, he was gone. Kael looked toward the exit. Elara caught his arm. "Kael." He looked at her. "She is alive." "I know. I have to find her." "We will." He stared at her. "We." Elara held his gaze. "Yes." Something in his expression softened. Then, from somewhere beyond the palace walls, a bell began to ring. Vaya had escaped. But he had left one thing behind. The truth. The old royal hall had once been a place of celebration. Now it smelled of smoke. Lord Vaya had set fire to the archive. The remaining records were burning. Soldiers rushed through the corridors. People shouted. Elara ran toward the archive. Kael caught up with her. Stay back. No. Elara. No. He looked at her. She pointed toward the flames. My mother's records are in there. Kael's jaw tightened. Then I am coming with you. They entered together. Smoke filled the room. Shelves collapsed. Pages burned in the air. Elara searched through the chaos. Then she saw him. Vaya stood near the far exit. He held a blade. He looked at Elara. You should have left the dead alone. Elara stepped forward. My mother did. Vaya smiled. Your mother was a fool. Kael moved. Vaya raised the blade. Stay back. Kael stopped. Vaya looked at Elara. She knows what happens when people try to change the order of things. Elara's heart beat faster. Kael's eyes turned gold. The wolf rose. Vaya smiled. There it is. Kael's hands tightened. Kael. He did not move. The wolf wanted blood. Vaya knew it. He wanted Kael to become the monster the kingdom had always believed him to be. Elara stepped toward Kael. Vaya raised the blade. Kael's gaze moved to her. Look at me, she whispered. He did. Not him. His breathing slowed. The gold in his eyes remained. But he did not attack. Vaya's smile faded. You think she can control you? Kael looked at him. No. He stepped forward. She reminds me who I am. Vaya lunged. Kael caught his wrist. The blade fell. Vaya struggled. Kael could have broken his neck. Everyone in the room knew it. The wolf inside him knew it. Elara stood beside him. Kael looked at her. Then released Vaya. The soldiers seized him. Vaya stared at Kael. You should have killed me. Kael's voice was quiet. That is why you wanted me to. Vaya was dragged away. The fire continued to spread. Elara turned. A hidden door stood open behind a collapsed shelf. Beyond it was a staircase. They followed it beneath the palace. At the bottom was a prison. And inside the last cell stood a woman. She was thin. Her hair was dark. One side of her face carried a scar. But Kael knew her. He stopped. Mara. The woman looked up. For a moment, neither moved. Then she whispered his name. Kael crossed the room. Mara stepped toward him. They met in the middle. No speech. No dramatic words. She simply pressed her forehead against his shoulder. Kael closed his eyes. His arms wrapped around her. The king who had survived a massacre finally held the person he had spent 7 years mourning. Elara stood back. Finn took her hand. Mara eventually looked toward her. You must be Elara. Elara nodded. Myra's daughter. Elara's breath caught. You knew my mother. Mara smiled through tears. She saved me. The words broke something open inside Elara. Her mother had not died having failed. She had carried the truth. She had saved someone. She had left behind enough for her daughter to finish what she could not. Weeks later, the northern dead were remembered. Their names were read aloud. The survivors were given land. The laws allowing prisoners to be sold across territories were destroyed. The council was tried. The slave traders were judged. And Myra Vale's name was placed among the kingdom's honored dead. Not as a healer. Not as a village widow. As the woman who carried the truth when everyone else tried to bury it. Elara stood before her mother's grave. The kingdom had changed. Not because a king had returned. Because one woman had refused to look away from a wounded wolf. The snow returned in winter. But this time, it was gentle. It fell quietly over the cemetery. Elara stood beside her mother's grave. She had come alone. Or so she thought. You still come here. She turned. Kael stood behind her. He wore a dark cloak. His silver hair moved in the wind. For a moment, He looked exactly like the man she had found beside the grave months ago. Only now, he was no longer alone. Elara smiled. You followed me. Yes. You could have announced yourself. I could have. She shook her head. They stood together. The grave was covered in snow. Elara brushed it away. Kael looked at the stone. Your mother saved my sister. Yes. She saved me too. Elara looked at him. You didn't know me then. Kael's eyes lowered. I knew you the first night. Elara's heart changed rhythm. What do you mean? He looked toward the place where the wolf had once slept. I felt it before I understood it. The bond. Kael nodded. Elara stared at him. He continued. I thought it was grief. Grief. I had lost everything. I thought the feeling was another kind of pain. Elara looked away. You could have said something. I was afraid. She turned back. Kael's face was open now.